So I'm standing at the base of one of these, what they're called hoodoos. And I just wanted to do this to give you an idea, comparison-wise, of the size of these hills. They may not look that big from a distance. And I also had a special story that I wanted to share with you that I find extremely fascinating. You know, I've had a lot of people send me emails wondering where I find all these experiences from and these stories from. And I think some people are concerned that I'm making them up. And believe me, I'm not. I haven't, not one word of one sentence of one experience. I read them as I receive them. I read them as I find them. And in a lot of cases, when I read you a story, these people have written books. And you can look up their names. You can look up the titles of their books. Some of them have started ministries. You can also look that up. And I found this one very interesting because it's the owner of a potato chip company. It's called Uncle Ray's Potato Chips. And it's his story about how he lost everything in life. Became a person he didn't want to be. And then through health issues that nearly killed him, found God. And decided that he wanted to serve him. So here goes. Potato chips are rated the #1 snack food in America, with over 1.85 billion pounds sold last year. Ray Jenkins is the owner of Uncle Ray's Potato Chips. His company had 24 million in sales last year. But things haven't always been so good for Ray. Ray grew up poor in the projects of Detroit, dropping out of school after the 8th grade to take a job in an iron foundry. He joined the Navy there and was assigned as a cook in the USS Bristol. It was there that Ray learned skills to enter the food industry. When he returned home, Ray went into business for himself. We had $150 and we started with chip dip. We had a local dairy make the chip dip, and I sold it to taverns, to bowling alleys, to little stores out of the back seat of my car. He met his God-fearing wife Myrna on a city bus, and they later married. At the time, Ray didn't think much about God. I thought, if I could see God, then I might believe in him, he says. Ray bought an old potato chip factory, but his business struggled. He could barely support his family, and the pressure was mounting. The banks had told us, you're bankrupt and you don't even know it. Sell your equipment and whatever you have because you have a negative net worth of terrible condition. Well, that's one way of letting you know. Ray says, my God was my business. That was a failure. I put all my heart, my effort, energy, and everything else into providing a living and to make a business work, and the harder it worked, the worse I got. I started drinking. I stopped every night in the bar and drank. It was to relieve the pressure. I didn't have the answers to make the business work. No matter what I did, it seemed to be wrong. So I stopped in the tavern and drank. He continued to drink until one night when he stumbled into the house and began vomiting blood. Ray was bringing up blood out of every open orifice in his body, his wife says. When the paramedics arrived, the news was not good. They told me that it appeared that Ray had lost about 60% of the blood that was in his body. They also told me that Ray wasn't going to make it. But it was during this time, Ray says, his spirit left his body. Then I thought to myself, I'm going to hell, he says. I knew that in my heart. I know I was going to hell. Going to hell for eternity, forever, was the most terrifying experience I'd ever felt in my entire life. It was like looking in the face of a starving lion that's about to eat you. I was ashamed of my life and how I'd neglected my family. My life was the business and the aftermath of getting drunk. In this pitiful condition, this hopeless condition, I felt God's presence with me. He didn't dislike me. He loved me. But he was disappointed I had not been a proper husband to my wife and a proper father to my children. As she followed the ambulance to the hospital, his wife Myrna began to pray, and God gave her an amazing peace. A peace came over me, and I knew that Ray was going to be all right, she recalls. Ray says his spirit came back into his body, and he realized that he was going to live. He spent 2 weeks in the hospital and received blood transfusions. When I got out of the hospital, I told Myrna, there is a God. I don't know who he is or where he is, but I've got to find him. I can't live anymore without him in my life. Later on, I realized that I had lost enough blood that I should have been dead. I was dead. I left my body. There was no question in my mind. The Lord saved my life so He could save my soul. I finally felt the peace that I've never experienced in my life, and I found for the first time what I was seeking in my life, in alcohol and anything else the world can offer, and that's His peace. And with that peace, Ray says that God began to work in other areas of his life. The Lord gave me ideas and plans. It was like a master business person talking to me. In my mind and heart, I knew I had the right answers. I went forward, and that year we made $85,000 in profit. Today, Ray and Myrna run a successful snack food company that sold 25 million bags of potato chips last year. On the back of each bag, Ray has printed stories of his life and scriptures with the gospel message. He does this to honor the God who brought him hope in a hopeless situation. With me, he should have run out of patience a long time ago. And although I was a sinner, he still loved me. So, there you go. I'm sure you can look it up on the internet, Ray's Potato Chips. I know I'd love to get a bag of his chips so I could read one of the messages on the back. But I love how he says, I felt a peace that I've never experienced in my life. And how with that peace that God began to work on all areas of my life, giving him ideas and plans. Especially when he says God was like a master business person talking to me. A master business person. Could you imagine how wonderful it would be if everybody let God into their lives, had a master business person to help direct their decisions? Well, I don't come out to this area very long, or very often. But if you'd like to see more of it, I'd have no problem driving out here someday and setting up my camera. There's a couple of really fascinating spots. Unfortunately, there's always a lot of tourists around, so it's very hard to get to them and to get close and take pictures, and definitely for me to talk and to make it legible with all the people around will be difficult. But I'll do a quick little shoot around just to give you another view, and then I am going to be gone. Have a wonderful day, and may God continue to be with you and yours. So the highway's back off that way. This way here, I'll bring it in a little closer. This is to show you the floor of this canyon. Nope, there's a storm cloud right there. That's one nice thing about Alberta. If it's going to rain, you'll find out about 3 days earlier because you can usually see the clouds coming across the prairies. And there's the canyon wall and the hills leading up to it. Anyhow, you have a wonderful day, and thank you. Bye now.